Now, welcome everyone back to Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast. I'll be your host, Bobby C. So it's as Bobby C sees it, and guess what? We got Gary Sanders. We hooked up on Facebook. Very interesting gentleman. I listened to a lot of his little shorts on meditation, and I asked him to come on. He said, yeah. So Gary, go ahead and introduce yourself and where can people find you, and then you'll get into the process of when you started to become, let's say, addicted, and then transitioning through all the different modalities.
Cool. Yeah. Well, again, thank you for asking me to be here, Bobby C. And it's good to connect, still virtually, but at least a little more. It feels a little more real here. But yeah, I'm a Buddhist. I'm an empowered Buddhist teacher. My website is boundlessheartdharma.com. It's still being constructed, but if you go to the media page, I have tons of meditations on there for free. Not charging anybody anything for that stuff, but Instagram and Twitter and all that, Boundless Heart Dharma. And I do on actually this weekend, starting on Sundays at noon Pacific, I do a short guided meditation on the Tattooed Buddha Facebook page. Tattooed Buddha is a community I've been a part of for a while, and I've been up for years. I've been doing a weekly thing with them. So yeah, there's different places you can find me online.
Boundless Heart.
Boundless Heart Dharma.
Right. Okay. That, you know what? I checked them all out. They're really, really good sites. Gary really gets into some simplicity of meditation, which I like, and they're short, sweet, and they really, give an impact. So check them out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your history from childhood, and come right on through. I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah. So I'm smiling just because, so my sober date is 8/16/07, and I've been asked to tell my story a lot, and I just kind of smile because, boy, I have, like, what part do I want to tell you? This is we have a short amount of time, but one of the big things of, why I got to, where I'm at, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, which, to me, it's a cult. It's a very narcissistic, delusional, repressive, damaging cult. And, so I was born into that. I was forced to do that. It never felt right to me growing up, but I wasn't ever given a chance to, like, research anything else or question anything. And I had a pretty abusive household as well, which the Jehovah's Witnesses support that, spare the rod, spoil the child kind of thing, so early on, I was introduced to alcohol through, I think, my cousin, who's not a Jehovah's Witness. And I mean, I knew about alcohol, but, I first got drunk, like, I don't know, like sixth grade, and, and threw up the first time, then, and I've had a pretty messy alcoholic and addict history starting from, from the very start on. But, it was also the thing, I did find some relief. There was those, at least, moments that I felt relieved from the extreme suffering that I lived in, the environment I lived in, and then just the inner turmoil I had. And so, I, behind my parents' back, behind my, the Jehovah's Witnesses, I tried to drink as much as I can with my, with my regular friends. And I was always trying really hard not to seem like a Jehovah's Witness to the kids at school and my neighbors and my regular friends. And then, and I tried to pretend like I wasn't a bad kid, in front of my parents and the Jehovah's Witnesses. So, I was never in my truth. I was never authentic, and I learned to be an actor. And I also, because I was suffering so much, I was always trying to find relief, but also, like, extremes, like I had such a repressive environment. Like, I couldn't watch rated R movies and wasn't supposed to listen to heavy metal music and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I went out of my way to like, it was unconscious. Like, the fuck you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want. I'm still going to pretend like I'm doing what you want, but I'm going to do my own thing. So yeah, drugs, alcohol, sex, and back to the drugs thing. I was introduced to cocaine like I think I was in 8th grade, and it was from an older ex-Jehovah's Witness dude that was, not thinking back, was kind of creepy. He used to have like high school girls go to his house and like and give us all, alcohol and drugs and pot 7th grade, cocaine 8th grade, and just on and on and on. And I did move out of my parents' house at 18 years old, and at that point, and I didn't want to be a part of the religion at all, and I actually got in some trouble with them, but I went out, and then once I moved out of my parents' house, it was on. There was no, I didn't have to be home at a certain time. I didn't have restrictions on me, and I just went like the full opposite way. And so, I got more and more and more into drugs, and all kinds of drugs, hallucinogens. Cocaine really became my big thing, and and at the same time, I continued to suffer more and more and more, and until that breaking point, and until in 2007, when I had actually in the middle of a big coke bender, I ate mushrooms, and I loved hallucinogens, and never had a bad. Interestingly, with all the trauma I had, I never had a bad trip, but I've had some pretty transformative trips. Like I've come out of like a really strong acid trip and changed career, and I changed relationships, and then in August of 2007, I in the middle of a coke bender, I ate a bunch of mushrooms, and I came out of it with the clearest insight that I had to completely stop doing everything. Really up until that point, I knew I had a problem with cocaine and hard drugs, but I didn't think I had a problem with alcohol and like smoking pot, the things I considered lesser, and I didn't do them daily. But at that point, I finally, I really had that clear insight. I was creating my own misery, and even if I was a little bit drunk or a little bit stoned, I made really bad decisions. Like, I'm gonna go on another coke bender, or I'm gonna try heroin, or I'm gonna whatever. And so that was it. And I really went out of my way to get sober and to stay sober.
That was a kind of a boom epiphany right there, huh?
Yeah,
You didn't have any other knowledge of any other alternative or any other recovery programs prior to that?
No, well, I at the time I already had a DUI, and and it was ordered to go to AA, 8 meetings or 10 or whatever, and I had to go to DUI school here, in California here. That was probably like 2000. Something like that. And then when I got my DUI, I also worked with a bunch of people that were in recovery. They were pretty much ex heroin addicts, but they were all in AA. And I even asked them at the time, I was like, "You're drug addicts. Why are you going to AA?" And they're like, "Well," one of the girls told me specifically that NA was full of scumbags, and there wasn't good support, and it wasn't long-term sobriety, and AA was a thing where there was like a lot of support. And so that was kind of in my head, and when I went on a court card, I don't remember much of that. I just remember sitting in the back, and I definitely don't remember when I went on a court card. I don't remember the Lord's Prayer and holding hands, because when in 2007, when I had that fucking big awakening and decided I really had to do this thing, I called one of my friends who had been sober for a while, and he was in AA. He invited me to was actually the Log Cabin here in LA. He was a speaker, it was kind of this popular clubhouse. He was a speaker, and I went there and I sat there and I listened to a story, and cocaine was part of his story, so it resonated with me. But at the end, when everybody got together and held hands and said the Lord's Prayer, I was like, fuck, I don't want any part of this at all. Because I'm an atheist. Like I was raised in a religious environment. I was abused by religion, and I wanted no part of organized religion or I didn't believe in any. I've never believed in any of that shit. So
right there, let's just back up just a little bit. So the court system, which is one of the legs that kind of drive you to the 12-step modality, which, there's plenty of them, Hollywood, and the courts and the government. So that more or less you were introduced by the system.
Absolutely.
The system kind of got you there, pointed you there, and said go there, and then you hooked up with some people that kind of you clicked with, validated your crap, and kind of you felt comfortable. So it was like, hey, let me join this thing. So you join it, And
Well, I didn't join at that point. That's the thing. I went
okay,
to
go
that
ahead.
first.
Let's go from there. But
Yeah.
one other point: the
Yeah.
DUI must have put a little fire under your ass too.
Well,
yes or no?
No, because I got the DUI, and then I came back and I thought to myself, hey, I'm going to stop doing everything for 30 days. Because, I just want to see if I can, do I have a problem or not? And I didn't talk to anybody. I was just if I can stay sober for 30 days, then I probably don't have a problem.
Did you do it?
I fucking white knuckled it for 30 days.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And then that kept me going for a really long time, and my drug addiction got worse and worse and worse. To the point I was doing an 8-ball of coke a day when I was on a bender.
Oh, okay. So after that time, then you went back out and started to do it again. So let's take it from there. You got some friends, the system put you in. So let's go from there.
Yeah, I went to that first meeting, Lord's Prayer. I was like, fuck, I don't want any part of this shit. So, again, I'm in Los Angeles. So this is 2007. One of the big things that I had a lot of hope for was the SOS program, Secular Organization for Sobriety. James Christopher wrote the book. I got the book. I found out he was actually, at the time, he was still alive. He was leading meetings at the Center of Inquiry. So I was like, hell yeah, I found my people. I'm going to go. And I went. And, maybe it's changed since then, but it felt like there was no support there. It was very small, and there wasn't people like telling a story even similar to mine. They were like, oh, I drink a little too much wine when I garden. And then somebody was talking about they snack too much at night, and I was just, it just didn't feel very helpful to me. And I tried, I can't remember. I tried a bunch of other things, and at 30 days, I went to my second meeting, AA meeting, and I got a chip, just because I wanted to prove it to myself. Hey, I'm doing this thing. And then I tried a bunch of other things, and then at 60 days, I did the same thing. I went to my third meeting at 60 days and got a 60-day chip. And then when 90 days came rolling around, I was, I'd been white knuckling it the whole time, and not really finding a lot of support, and I was starting to feel kind of sketchy. So I reached out to that same friend that was speaking at Log Cabin, and then he put me in touch with a guy who lived by me. Here I'm in the Valley. I'm in San Fernando Valley. He put me in touch with a dude here, and that dude didn't even really talk to me. He just said, like, hey, I go to a meeting at lunchtime, Monday through Friday. It's in Encino. Why don't you meet me there today? And, and I worked really close, and I went, and it was a men's AA meeting, but, it wasn't super hardcore, and there was dudes talking about drugs, and there was a lot of openness, and I found support. And that's been really the only thing that I ever found of value in 12-step was the fellowship. I found it in other people, helping other people. Right. And most of the meetings I went to were not helpful, but every once in a while I found a good meeting like that one I got, that helped me get sober.
And that could be because, well, it's not could be, there's thousands of meetings.
Yeah,
so the community is easy to get to. So we could create, let's call it a tribal mentality. We want to stay with the tribe and kind of people that resonate with us. Not that you got into all that stuff and you didn't, we'll get into it. Now, that's audience. Remember, this is a deprogramming podcast, and Gary was deprogramming all along. Believe me when I tell you, stay tuned for all this story, because he's going to talk about how he actually discovered he was doing it all himself anyhow. And we all do it that way. But so Gary was going in and out. He found a tribe. He liked some of the things, but not all the things. And he kind of discovered some other things during this transition out. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah. So that was one of the big things that helped me tolerate AA was, I found a book called One Breath at a Time from a Buddhist teacher named Kevin Griffin. And it was a Buddhist approach to the 12 steps. And Buddhism is non-theistic. There's no higher power in Buddhism. So, he did the typical kind of like, mental gymnastics and backbending to like, figure out a non-theistic, secular way to work the steps. And so, and I did that. I in a very secular way, I went through the steps a couple times with a couple different sponsors, and I was given a commitment early on. I was kept busy, and that really helped me. But I also, because of that Buddhist, and I had been interested in Buddhism and meditation for, it's been over 30 years now. But it was one of those things I kept coming back to meditation again and again. And when I got sober, I really like devoted myself to my meditation practice. And so I when I got sober, I hooked up with a Buddhist, a very secular Buddhist kind of punk rock sangha here in LA. and I stayed there, and a lot of other people were sober there, and including the founding teacher. And at the time I started bugging them. I'm like, hey, if there's a bunch of sober people here, and we're all going to AA or 12-step stuff, like, why don't we start having meetings here? Why don't we do like some Buddhist based recovery meetings here? And I know I wasn't the only one asking that. I know a bunch of other people were asking him, and he'd been thinking about it. But yeah, so I think it was 2009, we at Against the Stream here in Los Angeles, we started holding Buddhist based, not 12-step, totally based on secular Buddhist principles and meditation.
Yeah, which has not to do with just alcohol. It has to do with all addictions,
all addiction.
Process addictions.
Yeah. That was one thing.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things we were really, really clear about, this was for all addictions, because, in Buddhism, that's a whole nother story.
Right, no, we can talk about that. But the audience that knows about that, Gary's going to get into like Refuge Recovery and Recovery Dharma. Let's continue, Gary.
Yeah, so at Against the Stream, we started these meetings for our we actually had 2 centers at the time when that started, and we started these meetings for our 2 communities, and then there was other associated groups throughout the world called Dharma punks. And they started hearing about this program we were doing, so we shared our format, and then it really just started started spreading. It started building up steam, and and we were really forced to put to development more. We did kind of workshop it more and more and more, and those meetings grew to pretty quickly. We were getting 7,500 people at the meeting that I led at the Melrose location for years.
Okay, Gary, let's stop there, because we got up for the audience. You transitioned out of the 12-step modality in Alcoholics Anonymous because you became more aware, more conscious. Your level of consciousness started to develop, grow, and expand. And you always had it inside of you. And like you mentioned, you were doing it anyhow. It was all coming from you. So you transitioned out, and you kind of like seen it was kind of illusion and delusion in Alcoholics Anonymous that you kind of seen and kind of said, let me transition out of that. Am I correct or no?
You are, and and I don't know how much I was conscious of it of the time. I mean, I knew, I was in AA at the time. I got sober in AA. I took a Buddhist approach to it, which meant I really didn't work half the steps.
Exactly. Right.
And then, one of the things I kept hearing in AA was, it takes a spiritual solution, and so, I got deeper and deeper into my Buddhist practice, and then we start this program that is 100% Buddhist based. And then, and then, I just started seeing more and more and more that, this way of living, this way of retraining our minds and retraining our way to, clearly seeing our suffering and seeing a way out of our suffering, that worked way better than any, I never prayed. Like I never got on my knees, and like, I just, that stuff didn't work for me. But, me doing the work, me changing my relationship to my, the critical voice in my head and my trauma and all that fucking old conditioning and stuff, me retraining myself how to deal with that. That's been the whole thing the whole time. And having community to support that, That really, really helps. But it's not like AA. I just got lucky. I found that meeting because I've been to so many other meetings. Most meetings are not great in my minds, but when I'm with a Buddhist group, and whether they're in recovery from drugs and alcohol, or they're just recovering from fucking life and their own
Right,
trauma, like
right,
that's like community is really what has helped me the whole time.
right,
Fellowship here, in Buddhism we call it Sangha, it's always been, I do the work, but having support from a community, that's what works.
right. I just go through, like I got a lot of recovery Dharma stuff
Yeah.
because I was kind of certified and I used to do some recovery Dharma meetings, but it's a spinoff
Yeah.
of Refuge. Refuge
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
created originally, and you could talk a little bit about Refuge. Let me just go with
Yeah.
the Sangha, the community, the wise friends. Okay, so we have a bunch of wise friends that we have something in common. It's just like any group. I mean, me and Gary we're here right now. Me and Gary make up a little group, and we have something in common. We resonate with each other because we have some beliefs that kind of align. Okay. Now, Dharma is the nature of reality regarded as a universal truth because we believe in objective truth. There's truth. There is truth.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks subjective truth is just, whatever I think is truth. There is truth, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Buddha means awakened one. And this is what I believe. I believe we're all Buddha. We are all Buddha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we are all God. So I am Buddha, I am God, I create my own destiny. I have a little world inside of this thing. It's a universal body, universal mind. And this thing up here is very important. So now you discovered recovery Dharma in the meantime too, didn't you? Before that, was that
Well,
before?
I mean, I helped found Refuge Recovery, and then this
Right.
thing spread
Refuge
worldwide,
Recovery.
and then there was, unfortunately, there was from my old teacher, there was a misconduct, sexual misconduct, financial misconduct, a bunch of stuff was, came to light, and there was this big split. There was a court case. There's this big split. I know, Refuge Recovery is still going,
Right.
with my old teacher. I cannot in good conscience recommend that to anybody.
Right.
Each meeting of those might be really supportive, but money from those meetings goes to my old teacher who
Right.
has never really admitted or been responsible for the damage he's done with people.
Right.
So, and then, Recovery Dharma started, the board of Refuge Recovery, and most of the community split off away from that and then started Recovery Dharma. And I recommend that to people, but for me, I helped found Refuge Recovery, and it just broke my heart, the whole thing, all the drama and the court case and all that stuff. I couldn't put my heart into Recovery Dharma. So, at the time I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I found another men's AA group that was kind of a punk rock, like working man's meeting. But again, it was the fellowship. I went to this thing, I've been a part of this thing, and there was, lots of stuff outside the meeting, retreats and, and all kinds of events and stuff. And it was really great. But through that process, I started, more and more and more. I was like, I can't sponsor people within that program. If I don't believe in half the steps, I can't transmit this stuff to somebody else. And then, I live a pretty public life, and I teach meditation and I do stuff online. And do I really want to be a representative of AA, this thing that I don't believe in?
Exactly.
No. And I came to know,
I'm the same. I'm the same way. So this is a deprogramming and reprogramming. It's a stretch out of the triangle, going in, expanding the consciousness, awakening awareness, and discovering a lot of other different things out there. The unknown. We have to go after the unknown, not the known. The unknown. And I believe this is what I believe, that we're part of a transitioning from the 12-step paradigm. You don't need 12 steps because the steps, half of them are God steps, okay? And they're really religion steps because I found out that it is a religion. I don't care how you cut it, it's a religion because I was raised Catholic. I didn't choose it. My mother gave it to me. She gave me Catholicism, and I had to do all the rituals. So I know what a religion is, feels like, smells like, and tastes like. So today, I'm with you on that. So continue, Gary. What else you want to talk about? Mindfulness. today?
Yeah, that's been the thing. My personal practice has, in the early days of my recovery, I really dove into my meditation practice. And the thing that helped me the most with, like healing myself and transforming myself, I practiced daily. I offered loving kindness and or forgiveness to myself daily. I made a commitment of doing it for a year. And I actually, it changed things so much. I ended up doing it daily for like 2.5 years until I got to a point of like, man, I got this, like I feel completely different. And,
It's
and
your
then
lifestyle. Today's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle for what would you call it's you. It's you. It's
it's
what
just the
you.
thing I do, like,
It's
yeah.
almost like a no thing. It's a thing, but no thing. This is your life.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
like
it's become more and more effortless, and that's and it's not just sitting on meditation isn't just about sitting on the cushion or turning on the timer for 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day. It's about bringing this mindfulness into everything. So, my life is more and more and more mindful. I'm more intentional in things, and bringing that loving kindness and forgiveness throughout my day. And like, I still screw up and I still get angry and I still get sad, but like, I don't let it bowl me over. I don't fucking wear it like a hair shirt the rest of the day,
right. So mindfulness to me is becoming. Look, I always say think, because we have this think, question things, observe, look around you, observe things, and become aware. That I'm talking every second of the day. When you're walking down the street, observe, think, question, observe. What am I doing right this moment? What do I need to do? I'm mindful of right now, which we all believe. Eckhart Tolle, and I'm sure you're aware, and we believe in the power of now. Now is all we have. We don't have yesterday or tomorrow, but we need those things. We need the past to help us with the now, and we could project and imagine the future now, and everything always happens right now. But as we go on a day, nature, mindfulness, being in nature, you talk about being grounded. When I just go down to the beach, I love going down to the beach, because as soon as I go down the beach, I feel grounded. I got to go down, look at the ocean. I got to be in nature. I got to be around nature. It
Yeah.
feels so good.
Yeah. That was in early sobriety. I was studying with a Buddhist nun named Amatana Sante. She was a badass. She was like a rebel nun. She used to tell me to go lean up against a tree. If I'm feeling squirrely, I'm feeling out of sorts. Go, like lean back in the tree and rest. Like connect with nature, but like allow myself to be grounded by this beautiful tree that's rooted in the earth. And that yeah, there's always things around that we can ground ourselves in, and instead of getting stuck in these goddamn stories in our head.
Yeah, it's simple. It's if we keep it more simplistic. Like everybody wants to complicate it so much. If you're not that good, if you don't meditate for these hours and go 3 4 times, and if you don't do this, and levels and levels, that's all. I think that's all like capitalism of all these other different types of programs. Like if you want to get into yoga, you got to be the best. You got to do this. You want to get into meditation, keep it simple. When things go right, if I get a parking spot or something, I thank you.
Yeah.
That's how simple you want to call that a prayer? Call it a prayer. Thank you. When
Yeah.
I'm listening, I'm actually meditating. When I'm listening to somebody, I'm meditating. I'm putting my attention, my care
It's awareness.
into
Yeah.
awareness, listening.
Yeah.
Very simplistic things that would kind of negate and think that if we're not paying a lot of money for it, oh, it must not be worth it. Free? Oh, there's no such thing as free. What's the catch?
Yeah.
If it's free, what's the catch? And it's all free. Truth,
It is. Yeah.
truth should not be sold. Don't buy truth. Discover it,
Yeah.
uncover it, recover it, discover it.
Yeah.
The truth.
And then share it as
and
well.
then share it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We have 8 minutes. We've got plenty of time. What do you want to close with, Gary.
Can I offer, Bobby, because you were talking about awareness. You were talking about awareness, out in life and everything. Would you mind if I gave a really simple technique that would help with meditation?
Let's do it.
So, yeah, everything you said, yes, yes, yes. It is all about awareness. We're cultivating awareness. Talk about truth. Mindfulness and Buddhist meditation is about cultivating a clearer and clearer way of seeing life, seeing the truth, not through this lens of, trauma and conditioning and all that, but what's the truth of the moment. So yes. And also when, we have this intention to be mindful, we have this intention to meditate, we have an intention to be aware throughout the day, and our minds just go all over the place, right? That's when we get distracted, we get pulled away, whether it's internal, the thinking, the emotions, the sensations, or all the stuff that are, we hear things, see things that are senses, whatever, pulls our mind away. So here's the technique. When we get pulled away, whether it's when we're meditating or, in life, in anything, when we get distracted and we're not in the now anymore, when you notice you're distracted. So that there's a aspect of that. If you're unconscious of it, you can't do anything about it. You're off in la la land, whatever. But when you do notice it, allow yourself to release that attention on that distraction. So that this is part of the practice, but you just kind of release the mind's attention on it and then relax. If it's a big distraction, sometimes the shoulders raise, sometimes we, maybe we, bite down our jaw, clench our fists. So we relax our bodies, even relax our minds, because our minds kind of tense up around these distractions. But we release the mind's attention, we relax, and then we smile. Every time we get distracted, smile at the distractions. And it doesn't have to be a big grin, just a little half smile. And it's no coincidence if you look at most of the images of the Buddha and the statues and stuff, he's got like a little serene half smile on his face. So if we can start to acknowledge that the distractions are just part of the practice and it's not bad, we're not a bad meditator, we're not doing this wrong or anything. If we start to be friendly with everything, smile, and then bring ourselves back again. And just do that if we can relax and smile with all the distractions in your meditation practice, whatever it is, in your yoga practice, in when you're washing the dishes and you're trying to be mindful and your mind goes away, relax and smile and then come back again. And I promise that'll supercharge your practice and it'll really start to change things.
They use the word letting go a lot. Letting go, that's the practice of letting go. Letting go is a practice. Letting go is an art. Well, people think really what letting go is a lot different than what people think it is. They think, oh, if I let it go, that just means I'm surrendering and I don't do anything and I can't do anything. That's not what it means. It means at the moment we have choices. Yeah. No, I like that, Gary. See that? Be kind.
Be kind. That's just
kind. Me and Gary took a little while connecting, getting back together. Yeah. We got 4 minutes, but we did it. You know why we did it? Because we put our attention to it.
Yeah, and we kept coming back to it.
We put our care to it. It went away. Yeah. Gary had a cold. I had a little cold. We tried to connect last week, but we didn't let that stop us. We didn't let our head make up different stories about what we should have did or shouldn't have did. We just kept on staying in the now, and hopefully it would have happened. And if it didn't, we would have been accepting of that too. If it didn't, but it did because we both wanted it to. Yeah. We appreciate everyone. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Thanks so much. I'm finally and I'll be listening to you. Tell the audience one more time how they can connect up with you.
Tattooed Buddha Facebook page every Sunday at noon Pacific. And also if you go to the Tattooed Buddha Facebook page, there's years of videos for free. Little 5, 10, 15-minute mindfulness guided meditation videos. It's all accessible for free. My webpage still being constructed, but you can download a whole bunch, or you can stream a bunch of stuff on there. BoundlessHeartDharma.com.
Thank you, Gary. And everyone, don't forget to subscribe. Press the subscribe button. Listen when you listen, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. I mean, it's nothing we could do. We're not here to tell you that this is it. This is the way. We're just telling our experience, what we have discovered through many, many years of different types of practices. So thanks for staying tuned with us. This is Bobby C. We'll see you later. Take care. Thank you, Gar. Let's see how I disconnect here.